Welcome back to episode number 8
Number 8?
of Let the Boys Watch, a entertainment podcast brought to you by Going Great Productions. Alongside of me is a man who wants to organize a little coup down in old Peru, cousin Benny. And alongside him is a lady who uses lemon LaCroix to wash out wasabi out of her husband's eyes. And then the man who just wants to be our fun guy in Uruguay. And that is one of our co-hosts, our good buddy Ryan.
Didn't he have a third one? I wish I would remember it so I could have called you that.
Well, I think he wants to take a van into Tajikistan or Turkmenistan, I should say.
Turkmenistan, yeah. Well, thank you, Robbie. And yes, this is Let the Boys Watch. We are talking about Succession, season 4, episode 8, America Decides, which do you guys think that's a little bit of a pun? A little bit of
Oh,
a
100%.
joke? Okay, that's
Yeah, that it definitely got Fox News vibes.
Yeah. And we do this every week until Succession ends. So stick with us for that. Afterwards, I don't know. We'll see what happens. Maybe we'll watch some movies. I think Jugs on the Run's getting some good reviews. Maybe we'll watch that. I don't know.
Yeah, it is award season, so they're racking in the awards.
That's racking it. And we do have a super special guest today, the First Lady of Reservations. Aya, please say hi.
Hi.
Finally get a
Welcome.
female perspective on here.
Yeah,
Yes.
big fan of the show.
Thank you.
It's been we were talking about how like this season in particular, Succession, I've been really on board, and Ben made a very good point about like maybe it's because of all that in-depth analysis that I've been getting after every
Maybe.
episode. Mhm.
Yeah.
Rounds
Thanks.
out the experience.
That's true. That's possible. I mean, I do like the episodes better after I talk with these two characters, so
Exactly.
maybe you're right.
Thank you.
Before we get started, just a quick reminder, please do all the things that we always ask you. Rate, review, 5 stars, please. Follow us on Instagram, LTBW Podcast.
Yeah.
No, wait.
No, that's the
email. No, Let the Boys Watch Pod. Pod is on Instagram, and LTBW podcast at gmail.com.
That's right.
All right. Nice. It's sort of 2 for 2. So send us an email. We love it. And I don't know. Should we just get right into it? Maybe do some overall impressions, a little plum watch, and then we'll talk about the episode.
Let's do that. Yeah.
Can we have our very special guest talk about her overall impressions first, or?
Yeah, so
Please.
the first thing I told Benny, because usually I have a lot to say once the episode wraps up, but the first thing I told Benny was, hey, can I jump on the episode this week? Because this
Whoa.
was saved for episode 3, which I think might be one of the best episodes of the show and might be one of the best episodes of TV, any TV show at this point. But save for episode 3, I think this has been the best one. Maybe this is the second best episode of this entire show. It was amazing. I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. It gave me feelings that I didn't want to feel and feelings that I needed to feel for this show. And it was so well written. It was so well acted. And, 35 plums if I could give it.
Nice.
Wow.
Nice.
It was a really, really good episode.
Out of what, 70?
It's a good number, 70 plums.
Yeah. Robbie, what'd you think?
Yeah, I thought it was great. Being a, history major, it took me 12 years to get my undergrad, but still, I thought it was right in my wheelhouse. I love politics. I love history, and I love how they kind of intertwine previous elections, like close elections, like, Kennedy, Nixon, and Gore, Bush, like all those kind of parallels and those close races. Yeah, like I said, it was just intense from start to finish. I mean, of course, when I saw the guy Jesse Armstrong wrote the episode, I knew we were in for a treat. I just thought it was action packed in a sense of how well written it was and how they directed and shot it. And yeah, I think it was, along with episode 3 of this season, this is the second best episode of this season. I think it's definitely in my top 5 to 10 best episode of the show. I just loved it. I loved everything about it.
Nice, Benny.
Yeah, I agree. I think probably top 3 episode. If I had to go top 3 off the top of my head, it would be episode 3 this season, season finale last season, and then probably this one. It just really punched you in the face with, like, we joke and laugh and we have our favorites that we play, but it just goes to show you how every single one of these people are pieces of shit, like when it comes down to it.
Yeah.
So I thought, this episode really drove it home, and it kind of gives the last 2 episodes here kind of a dark feeling going into them, because we've watched these guys fumble, bumble, stumble around for the last 29 episodes or whatever it's been. And, it ultimately all led to this moment. And I think it's just so crazy how, you start season 1 where Shiv is working in politics, and you were always thinking about how her liberal ideologies were going to mesh with this family. And it turns out, even though I don't think what she did was 100% because of her political values, it still ended up being the reason that she was able to kind of like pretty much tank this whole thing. I mean, obviously, I think Ken and Roman are the ones to blame the most for what happened, but it was just gunpowder in the mix. So for me, I probably give it like a 9.3, 9.4 plums.
Wowza.
Yeah.
Plummy.
Strong. That's very plummy. I agree with a lot of the things that you guys said, but I found myself bored. I got to be honest. I liked a lot of things about it. I've been thinking all day and night, like, why was I bored? Why did I not love this episode? I don't really have an answer. Maybe as we're talking, I'll either go one way or the other. Like, I'll start liking it more. I'll realize why, but I don't know. I just was like, all right, like, cool. That's stealing the election. Great.
Do you think, kind of, because there was a lot of hype around this episode, do you think that was part of the reason why?
No, because you know what? I didn't really know that this was supposed to be like a huge episode until after the fact. Because people were complaining, like, I thought this was supposed to be shocking. What was shocking about it? And by the way, the internet discourse on this episode is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, it's
like
insane.
on
It's all
both
over the
sides.
place.
It's so
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
I had PTSD. Like, okay, stop. And then
Yeah.
the people on the right are just like, well, this and that, Fox News, and I'm just like, yeah, everyone's stupid. Stop it.
Yeah. Do a podcast about it instead.
Yeah,
exactly.
Smart people do podcasts. Come on.
Yeah. So what do you think was the difference between what made last episode so good for you and this episode not hit as well?
I honestly don't know. Maybe I need to do some self-discovery and find out about myself, but I don't know. Maybe I wasn't in the right mindset. Maybe I was a little tired, something. I don't know, but I just, like, I liked the episode, but I wasn't. Everyone's like saying, like you said, 9.3, 9.4 up in there. I'm like, I don't know, 7.4.
I mean, it's kind of in line with most of the other stuff.
Yeah, it's very good. I enjoyed it. I liked a lot of parts about it, but I think, what I think the biggest part is when people really are pieces of shit, it like bothers me, and I'm just like turned off by it. And like,
yeah,
and I fully realize that that's not the point, but that's who these characters have been this entire time, but they just really turned it up to 11 this episode, and for different reasons. But I don't know. I feel like maybe that's why I love Ted Lasso so much. I need some optimism. I need like good things.
But I feel like that's what's funny about this particular episode. Because like last episode, Benny and I were talking about how what I love about the writing in this show is that it it makes you root for these people, right? Because like that's the whole point of you watching a show. You want to gravitate towards a person, or you
Right.
want to root for someone. But then they give you like these little moments with Kendall verbally attacking his wife,
Right.
Tom and Greg doing that firing thing over Zoom. Just like little things that you don't think plays to the storyline, but for me, it's like just to remind you that hey, these are pieces of shit. And to me, this episode was like the biggest unmasking of it. And there's like this like funny discourse happening on TikTok right now where there are a lot of girlies are going like, just so when I thought that I was in love with Roman Roy,
Yeah.
they just want to remind me that he's a fastest piece of shit. Like it's this episode that like all like, hey, just a reminder, each and every single one of these people are severe assholes and dipshits. Like it's the biggest unmasking out of all 4 seasons, which is like I think it's great. It gives you a pit in your stomach, and it makes you have to like look into yourself and think about like, why the fuck did I root for this person, or why the fuck did I have feelings for this person, or why it really gives you that roller coaster ride.
I forget what she says exactly, but like Shiv asking Greg if he has feelings for her. Feelings for me?
I just want to know when I'm being fucked.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly.
And the writers, producers, directors were telling us these people are gonna fuck you and fuck everybody, and we are just like, nah.
Yeah, but he made a funny cock joke. So
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
yeah. It's okay. So how should we do this? Because I think we've been talking about this episode since it aired. How do we want to attack this? I feel like it's tough to not do it chronologically, but sometimes the chronologic is like, I don't know, not the ideal way to have a podcast, but what do you think?
Yeah. I mean, I think we could start that way. Maybe try not to go too heavy into discussion because I feel like we're going to come back and touch on all this stuff again.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys have any like lines or anything that, you wanted to talk about, but why don't we just start summarizing and see where it takes us?
Yeah. Love it.
So our episode starts with the cold open with Tom and Greg. Basically Tom just saying that he's got a lot of pressure on him, which follows up into the episode beginning where Ken is telling Tom that he needs to get good ratings. And we get the first hints of this fire that's going on in Milwaukee, and there's other things going on where there's buses picking people up and dropping them off where there's nowhere to vote. What'd you guys think about this as kind of like, all the pressure that's being put on Tom? How do you think he's feeling, especially the day after, this huge fight with Shiv? Robbie?
Yeah, it was nice to see Tom under pressure and kind of, I don't know about wilting in the pressure, but I don't know. It was cool to see like the behind the scenes of how somebody who's running a network on election day, all the different parallels and all the different things he has to face, especially come off the heels of a horrendous verbal altercation with his ex-wife on their balcony. And yeah, it was just crazy to me. I mean, Tom is under immense pressure to deliver, and he was just dealing with a ton of shit. I just love the interaction with him and Greg, like back on their bullshit.
Yeah.
He just wants him to be his little gopher boy again, and
Yeah.
he can't be eating bodega sushi because his what did he say about his like the Constitution and his appetite? I forgot what
yeah. So I said that he wants to make sure the only things he eats tonight are microwave milk and ginger shots, American bottled water, and spaghetti with olive oil.
And this was the same scene where Greg was talking about how he was just drinking things that he didn't know he could drink, and they made him dance with an old man.
Yeah.
So I just love those interactions, yeah, like I said, it was just nice to see the back room point of view of somebody who's like running a TV network on the biggest night of the year.
Yeah, so we can kind of group both of these Tom and Greg scenes together because we bled into kind of the next one with the bodega sushi, but I also put that in this scene, Tom wants Greg Gregging for him tonight, but Greg doesn't want a Greg. We also get that quote, Ryan, where with Tom and Greg talking, and he has information, and Greg kind of wants to know what he should do with it. And Tom tells him that information is like a fine bottle of wine. You store it, hoard it, and then when it's time, you take it out and smash somebody in the fucking face with it. Is this the best advice you've seen on the show so far?
I think so. And I mean, Greg takes it to heart and uses it in like a couple hours.
Yeah.
No, I love that. I did love that advice. Did he say that before or after the cocaine?
I think it was before.
Yeah.
Because that was kind of during the first interaction we had from Tom and Greg, and then they go back into the war room there and meet up.
I'm kind of surprised that they went with coke. Like, why not go with like Adderall or something?
Would have been smart, but hey, I mean, you're rich, you might as well just splurge the extra money and get the cocaine.
I guess. Or maybe Greg might have had it left over from his coke binge with Mattson.
Could be.
I don't know. This episode, sorry to cut you off. Like,
go ahead.
and this might be a little macro for what we're doing, but I felt like if I was a conspiracy theory person, which I might be, Greg seemed like he is kind of doing like making moves, like, and not as stupid, maybe. Like, if you really, and it may just be coincidental and how he plays things, but like spends all evening with Mattson, gets information about Shiv, conveniently leaks information to Jess, fucking motherfucks Shiv. And there was one other thing that I was like, Greg might be playing the game, but I don't know if he's playing the game because he might be stupid.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, just that, that point where him and Shiv are having that conversation, and you feel like Greg is his back against the wall, and he still has the balls to ask Shiv, like, what's in it for him to say silent.
Sweetener.
Yeah.
I don't know. Go ahead. Sorry.
Any thoughts?
Well, I have thoughts on the Greg Jess interaction, but that's for, like, I guess when we get there. No, but it's for when we go chronological. But like, I think it touches on the good point of like when Greg sort of sells out Shiv when really doesn't sell out. You guys have talked at length about how do you think these guys' treatment of Greg will affect, or like who will he side with, because you guys have talked about how Shiv treats Greg, Roman treats Greg, and Kendall treats Greg, and you guys talked about how, like, technically if you really look at it and all throughout history of this show, Kendall is the only one that actually treats Greg right, not right, but like really,
like a human being.
Yeah. So that's why I think it was so quick for him to like give that information to Kendall. If it was Roman asking, it would have been a different question. But because it was Kendall, he has this kinship with Kendall because they have that shared apartment. They have so many shared experiences. His allegiance, other than Tom, the next person he would align himself with would be Kendall. So I think it wasn't really that he was playing the game. It's just that he knows where he's aligned with.
Right. But I don't even think he's aligned with Tom at this point. Like, I think he kind of sees Tom as a sinking ship.
Yeah.
And he's he's willing to throw Tom under the bus if he needs to.
Yeah.
Robbie, as our resident sex hound on this podcast and professional with the ladies, I have a question for you. It's about text messaging.
Okay.
What is better, 2 eggplants or 4 smiley faces?
Oh, great question.
Well, I'm not really a big emoji guy, so I'm not really going to use 4 smiley faces. But if I want to get my point across to let somebody know, like, hey, either I want to be fucked or I don't want to be fucked, I'm going with 2 big eggplant emojis.
Good, because that was a big debate in the first part of this episode. I'm glad to know that we've solved it.
Yeah, because if I'm gonna let you know that I'm rock hard and I'm ready to go, it's 2 eggplant emojis.
All day.
All day, every day.
So the other thing we learned early on this episode is on a phone call between Ken and Rava is that Ken has them being tailed by security, What do you guys think about that, Aya?
Ken being Ken being a little presumptuous, but I think that's like an important thing of like, so a lot of this discussion will be how, as this whole plays out, as this whole episode plays out, and how important this episode is. A lot of people are talking about how you really get a sense of how this jointed or like separated all these people and all these characters are from reality, where they are making moves and they're making decisions and they're making like these like very, very important decisions, but not anchored in any reality or like with how real world will play this, right? I think the whole storyline of Kendall and his daughter and the whole, I think out of all of them, he's the only one that whole storyline is what tethers him into the reality of situation. That, yeah, all of the movements that they're making is very self-serving and it's very thinking about the business and all that stuff. But that's why I think throughout the show, you'll see like Kendall's like having pauses and having like little concerns here and there, because his daughter is like his setter to the real world consequences of every decision that they're making. What do you think,
Robbie?
I don't know. I don't know. Like, I don't know about because he can't even get on the phone to say that he freaking loves his daughter. That kind of irked me. Um, and like even harkening back to like not jumping around, but like he was talking about saving democracy, I guess, for his daughter, and we wanted to do the right thing. And then in the end, he just did what was best for him.
Yeah.
So does the what did he say? Does the poison?
Does the poison bleed through?
Yeah, which I thought was a fantastic line. I don't know, man. I think he does want to do the right thing, but I also think he's so, enthralled with just being on top and being, the CEO and the big power broker that nothing really matters but that. I mean, I feel like we've seen that time and time again with him where he's just, trying to be this righteous bro, but then he just goes back to being kind of who he, who his dad is and just wants to be on top and doesn't really care about anybody but himself. So he's fighting a battle, obviously, within his own mind. So he's all over the place, and but he's just, I know I hate on him, but the man Jeremy Strong is just an absolute menace on the screen. So it's fascinating to watch, like the ups and downs, his facial expressions, just everything he does on the screen is awesome.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he definitely like the decision at the end is, I thought, more to say fuck you, Shiv, than to do what's gonna be helpful for the company. And then he's like, after the fact, regretting what he did because of the feelings he has for his daughter or, other things. But yeah, he's definitely like manic or something. He's probably got holes in his brain from drugs or something. He wants to do the right thing so bad, but then he's like, it's like a shiny car drives by and he's like, oh yeah, do that. Like he gets like distracted and just wants to do and throw out buzzwords and whatever. So
but he also wants to do what looks good, not necessarily what is the right thing.
Right.
He thinks that by doing that, he's protecting them, or he thinks that that's the strongest play he has available, when as Rava mentioned a couple of times, like, just get on the phone with her and tell her everything's gonna be okay.
I think Kendall throughout, like, he has this thing, and that's why he looks so manic too. And if you think about it, out of the three siblings, no matter how much pieces of shit Shiv and Roman are, Kendall is the weakest out of all of them, in the sense that he can't correlate or can't like decide whether he wants to do the right thing, the best thing, or the killer thing. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
There's always he's not like, his direction is never focused. He's always like, am I a good guy? I'm gonna go the good guy path. But no, I don't want to be a good guy. I want to be a killer, and I want to be a serious person. But no, for me to be a killer and he's always like jumping back and forth, and he doesn't he can't decide within himself like what kind of direction he wants to take himself at.
So I want to check in on our candidates for president, but before I do that, I just want to throw this one out to the room, and whoever's got the answer first, you just yell it out. Okay? Not doing coke, racist?
No,
What do
not
you
racist.
think?
Not racist at all.
Not racist at all. Not racist to the Aztec. It's good for your brain.
Good for your brain, but not racist. It's not racist to the Aztecs if it's something that you fundamentally don't want to do and don't believe in the moment. But
Okay.
what about you? Racist or not racist?
I think a little racist. So, just throwing it out there. Good answer. Could make you a candidate for president. So
Thank
let's
you.
check in on our presidential candidates. Ken calls Jimenez, trying to get him to commit to reigning in tech, and tells him to stay hydrated.
Yeah. And they both say man like 18 times. Hey man. Yeah, good luck out there, man.
Yeah. Mencken and Roman meet. Mencken wants Roman to help control the narrative he loses and to spin it as a huge win for him. And then they could propel themselves forward to the next election where, him and Roman will team up again. And in the upset of the century, Connor loses Kentucky. And, all we could say is alas, Kentucky, alas, vanity. Robbie, as the resident conhead on this podcast, conhead number 2, we'll call you.
Thank you.
Give us a little, give us your feelings here.
I was ready for just a red wave for the con man, but once Kentucky went to Mencken, I think my entire body just, my soul left its body. I was devastated. I thought we were in for the shock of the century, but I knew Kentucky. I knew Mitch McConnell would find his way to ruin the election, and I knew that he wasn't going to give it to Khan. It's devastating. I mean, the man spent $100 million on his campaign, and for it to be over at 7:01 was absolutely devastating. Well, but also, first off, I'm sorry.
Ahead.
Shout out Willa, looking like a minx in that outfit. What a first lady she would have been.
Yeah. Ryan, what do you think? Is this the reason maybe you didn't like the episode this much as a new member of the Conheads? You kind of got
maybe I was so heartbroken over his loss. No, I mean, it was expected. I don't think they would have. It would have been too stupid as a show for him to like win a few states or like make serious noise. Like I thought I thought your prediction might have been correct, in which that like 1%, 2%, 3% might have like swayed a state and it could have, done something. But in the end, he was basically just
nuisance candidate.
Yeah, just there. He maybe going to Slovenia as an ambassador might be nice.
We'll get to that later.
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll talk more about that later. But yeah, I mean, I did appreciate the grace at which he dealt with that heartbreak, because if any one of us were in that situation, we of course would have wanted him to win. And he, like you said, alas Kentucky, alas vanity. And then it's almost like he was just like, all right, what's the next thing?
Yeah, he moves on pretty quick. Any thoughts about Connor?
Pretty much summed it up.
Yeah. All right, so we're back at ATN. And let me just say something. Board malfunctions, Kornacki would never let that happen.
No.
I just want that on the record first.
Touchscreen.
Without a doubt.
Map Daddy could never.
Yeah, he would never. So we're talking more about these Milwaukee fires.
Map Daddy.
Roman calls them Antifa firebombing. Shiv says it's Mencanists, and Roman drops his favorite line of the episode so far is false flag.
You can't just say false flag when you don't agree with something.
We find out that ballots have been lost in the fire, and Roman gets talking points from Mencken's team and gives them to Ravenhead. We'll touch on that in a little bit. The next thing we get is a big scene in this episode is Tom and Shiv. Shiv tries to apologize wants Tom to apologize, but he doesn't. Tom says Shiv killed Logan, sort of. And then Ryan, your probably favorite part of this episode, Shiv finally drops the bomb, and Tom doesn't believe her? Question mark. Thinks it might be a play. Aya, what did you think about this scene? You didn't get your input really on the fight last week, so
I think his initial reaction of him not believing was so funny given the discourse on Logan dying and the public thinking, nah, that's a play. That's such a thing that they would pull off. And to have that be Tom's first reaction is like very in keeping with how everyone thinks this whole family operates. Like, of course that's the first thing he'd think. Of course the first thing he'd think, it's like it's a move or whatever. And it's just another knife in Shiv on top of all the other knives that she has been taking since the last episode and up to this episode. So that was pretty brutal to watch.
Ryan, what do you think?
Oh, as the resident child haver on this episode, I gotta say that this was absolutely coming off as a play, because why the fuck would you tell your husband or the father of the child on the most stressful day of maybe his life, maybe, or at least of the year, instead of all the times you were having sex recently, or when you had a huge fight when you were by yourselves, or any of the other million times in the past, whatever week or whatever this timeline is. This is the time you choose to tell him. Like, of course it seems like bullshit, because like, why would you do that? Like, you're just saying that to say something more impactful. I don't mean hurtful, but more impactful than what he said. And it's what a fucking jerk Shiv is.
Yeah,
I mean, they're all jerks, but this was such a jerk move.
Yeah, we mentioned it a couple of times where, like, when Shiv is down in a fight, she'll just start throwing punches. Anything. And like, it doesn't even matter if what she's saying is true or not. So Robbie, what do you think?
I
Yeah, I didn't get the internet just going a fucking blaze at like hating Tom for kind of not dismissing, but like wondering if this is an actual like play on her part or if it's true.
Wait, really? The internet was all pissy about that?
Well, that was probably like 3 tweets. You know, those articles. It's like,
yeah. People are saying.
It's like one person's like, man, Tom, you suck. And and that's it. And then the article over. So they weren't really going to blaze. But anyway, can I just play it up for the fucking viewers?
No, I wasn't like calling you out. I'm genuinely curious. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, there was like one article on like maybe like Up Rocks where it's like they show like 3 tweets.
Yeah, people are saying.
Yeah, people are talking, and it's like one guy from like Idaho.
Internet destroys Tom Wam's games.
EGN destroyed Tom's Wam games, please.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so I like Ryan said, I feel like I would have been in the same boat. Like, is this a joke? Like, why are you telling me as I'm on cocaine, as my touchscreens are going bananas in the background? We got one left.
Touchscreen.
And I need, I'm freaking out about, Milwaukee votes being destroyed. Yeah, I didn't get it. But I don't think it was the perfect timing to say it. Like you guys said, there was plenty of other opportunities to do that. But yeah, I mean, Shiv delivers some of the best facial reactions in the biz, and you could just see, she doesn't have to say any words. You could just see the expressions on her face, and that's what I think it's one of my favorite things about Shiv as a character and the actress that plays her. I love when she just is like tilts her head or smirks up, and everything she does with her facial expressions can just freaking tell a story. So yeah, I wasn't a big fan of her revealing it then, but as the internet was also going crazy, like, oh my god, she did it on Mother's Day.
So we got the Easter egg on Easter, and we got
the Mother's Day.
What was the other one? We got something else, I think. But it's funny that you mentioned the facial expressions, like between her and the scene when Kendall finds out about Shiv, the looks he's giving through the meeting room. he just said so much without even being in the room. So credit to both of them.
And in terms of Shiv's facial expressions, because that's always something that she gets a lot of recognition for when she does like that whole sassy face and knowing face, and she's so good at it. But this episode is the first time you really see it in her face that she's drowning. She is drowning, and the despair in her face is so good.
And I feel like I don't want to go deep into because we're going to get to that scene, obviously, but we've all been there where we lie about something that we didn't do, and then we get caught, and we know we're about to get caught, and we're like, oh fuck.
Yeah. The face she makes when Kendall walks out of the room is just priceless.
Oh yeah. We've all been there, and our ookie cookies in our gut is like, oh boy, we're about to get fucking rocked here.
Speaking of facial reactions, Ryan, I saw you make a little facial reaction to that statement that Robbie just made.
What's the best lie you ever told?
Listen, hey.
What'd you say? Sorry.
I said, what's the best lie you've ever told?
Oh.
Good job on the pod, Robbie.
No, that's true. I have to think about it because it's definitely like when I was younger, I don't really lie that much. Oddly, like,
well, there it is. We got the
best. That's the biggest lie. I don't know. I'm sure it was like something with my parents, like getting away with something, and I probably actually didn't get away with it, but I thought I did.
All right.
I'll think about it. I'm sorry.
Okay, it's your homework assignment. So Connor wants to reconsider. He wants to head a coup in Old Peru.
Love it.
He wants to be put in a van to Tajikistan. And he could be our fun guy in Uruguay, as Robbie so eloquently reminded us in the beginning of this podcast. Not much to really discuss there, but just wanted to throw out those Connor lines because con heads. So there's no results. We get told that by Darwin that no results in Wisconsin can be valid until absentee ballots are counted. About 100,000 are missing. Menken's position is they will win Wisconsin. Kendall's undecided on what to do because Mencken will kill the Gojo deal. And right-wing news starts calling Wisconsin for Mencken. So this is where we kind of get Roman starting to force his hand a little bit. Robbie, what did you think about Roman's attitude this whole episode? And do you think it's more him being aligned with Mencken, or it's strictly because of the Gojo deal?
I've done a lot of 180s on this show, but nothing has prepared me for more hatred and vitriol towards Roman than this episode. I mean, I was so into him. I thought he was a sympathetic character early on, especially in the mountain scene with Mattson. But man, what a piece of shit! And it's stupid. Yeah, I mean, you got to give credit to the writers because the show is so well written. But this is who he's always been. He's always been this piece of shit. Especially in, I think it's the first or second episode when they're doing that baseball game.
That's the
playing
pilot.
Baseball with that family, and he's just fucking this poor family, and he's just shitting on them, basically playing a game with them, and rips up the $1 million check right in front of their face. But I don't know. I think he's more in line with Mencken, and part of it's the Gojo deal because they have some weird fucking sexual tension going on, those two.
Why is he getting eggplant sent to him?
Exactly. Like if you I think it was season 3 when they were in the bathroom together. I'm like, are these guys gonna have sex with each other?
Yeah.
It was weird, but I also think it's a power play now. He's if he knows that he's in with the president and basically he's his go-to, that it propels him potentially as the lone CEO. And Kendall, you see that in future scenes, Kendall, of course, is now worried about that, obviously, with the phone call. But yeah, I think it's more in line with probably 70% Mencken and 30% killing the Gojo deal.
Aya, what do you think?
I think throughout this whole, there's something with Roman and his decision-making process in this whole episode that I don't want to say short-sightedness, but there's a shallowness to his logic. And he just kept pushing. I understand that, yeah, maybe he's aligned with it, but the way he just kept pushing and pushing Mencken. and just pushing to get this called. Because to me, this whole episode, I'm honestly afraid that they fucked up calling Wisconsin, and it might bite them in the ass later on. And like fuck the credibility of the network because they called too early. And I think Roman was just like, he thinks that like, oh, Logan, my dad did this, I can do this as well. There's like the shallowness into his decision making. He doesn't see big picture. He doesn't see the consequences of his actions. He only sees like, this is what I can do, this is what I should do. And like his whole forcing his hand for this, it's like, let's just do it, let's be badass. It's so shallow, and you could really see it in this episode.
Yeah, Ryan, what'd you think?
Yeah, I think I agree with Aya, and I think maybe, and like I always do, maybe I'm taking it a little too far. Where I think you're right, where he's very pushy with try, like, no, Mencken, because he knows that Mencken will kill the deal. Like, is there, like, so if Gojo takes over, is Jerry then protected from whatever? Like, I think maybe wants to steer clear of that whole Jerry situation, maybe just pay her off and get her the fuck out. If Gojo's not involved, there's more power for him to like try and make those decisions. Or maybe it's something else. That's just the first thought that popped in my mind, is like having something to do with Jerry. But I think it was more Mencken than being Gojo than being like aligned with Mencken. I don't think he really gives a shit like about the politics at all.
Yeah.
I think it's something with he wants control, he wants to be the lone CEO, something, or just hates Matsson so much that he just anything to get rid of him. I don't know.
Well, also, I think it's because like on the other scenario, he has no leverage.
Right.
He has zero, like at least with like Jimenez, Kendall can see a path way out of it. Shiv can see a pathway out of it. But
Right.
like with Roman, he has nothing on that side. He has all his eggs in a basket with Mencken. So like he has to drive it home.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's like Ryan said, it's 100% Gojo related. I think Kendall sold him on this dream of killing the deal and ruling the company together. And he's just got that in his head. Even though I don't think Roman really wants that much power, I think if he got the power, he doesn't really know what to do with it. We kind of saw how awkward he was with it the first couple of days as CEO. I think he's just kind of sold on that dream.
Yeah, but too much power is better than zero.
Right. So another kind of scene that I wanted to point out, or not scene, but a couple of lines I wanted to point out, was just a quick interaction between Tom, Shiv, and Kendall, where Tom tells Shiv, "You sound a little unhinged," and then Kendall fucking fires back and says, "You fucking watch it, Tom." I just thought that was like a pretty badass moment.
As a little sister, I loved watching that. And like,
that's something Katie would do for me.
Yeah, definitely.
Sorry, what were you gonna say?
No, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say something.
But also I think that's why out of anyone these past few episodes, you've really seen the bond between Shiv and Kendall, right? So towards the end, and I guess the next scene that's gonna come up, it will really like drive the point of the betrayal that Kendall will feel from Shiv. Because more and more they're starting to be like the whole Shivy honey, the whole like watch it, Tom, you know what I mean? Like there's like this protectiveness that like Kendall's starting to feel again for Shiv, and then all of a sudden, so
yeah.
I know we're getting to these things, but do you think, I'm surprised Shiv did not bring up the pregnancy when she got caught.
Me too.
Yeah.
I don't know why I just thought of that, but the Shivy honey stuff, like for her to be look sympathetic or whatever to her brother,
or at least deflect a little bit.
I thought she was about to in that like closet scene, like after the talk with Tom, and then the moment where Kendall was like, "Do you want us to kill Tom?" I thought she was going to say it at that moment, but like she didn't.
Well, that's where she kind of starts undermining Tom there too, where she tells him, Tom's hiding something or he can't be trusted. I forget exactly what it was. But next up, we get the Shiv and Greg scene, which we discussed a little bit. But then we go back to Tom's war room after we find out that Mencken 100% will block the deal for favorable election coverage. So Roman goes to Tom, and they decide to call Wisconsin for Mencken with caveats. And then poor old Darwin gets wasabied and then lemon LaCroix. I wanted to point out at one point when he's wiping his face and he's trying to get the LaCroix out, he just randomly goes into a Woody Allen. He's like, "It's on my fingers."
I also love the like all the LaCroix jokes happening. Was like, you boy put lemon water in it, like it's barely lemon.
There's a hint of lemon.
Lemon essence.
Robbie, as our resident person on the podcast that gets things in people's eyes,
Look out! Look out!
What would you have suggested Greg use to get the wasabi out of his eye?
Oh, that's tough. How about some eye drops, maybe?
But if you're in a pinch,
If I'm in a pinch, oh, that's tough. Maybe some soy sauce. I don't know. Get the man. It works well together. Yeah, I mean, if
just start dipping some salmon in his eye.
yeah, does he have any? If he have any water, I guess the LaCroix wasn't really a good thing. I would probably just use water. I mean, as a person who's, been known to spray things in people's eyes, I don't, I just get a little towel and tell them to take a hike. I don't know. It's tough. It's a tough scene.
But I mean, I think this was like a much needed moment of levity in the episode, and I feel like it comes about halfway through the episode. So, just a funny. I forgot to pull his name, but shout out to the actor that plays Darwin.
I was going to ask you, where is he from?
He was Walter White's ex-partner.
That's it. There you go.
That he started Gray Matter with.
Thank you. I had no idea. And
Adam Godley.
Those ears remind me of somebody.
Yeah. I saw some people shouting him out online for a bunch of other things he's played in recently. I think he was like the something in Russia where he's just like this unhinged character. Like this is just such a 180.
It's called The Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a not a great show, but it's entertaining. It's good. Nicholas Holt's very good in it. But yeah, it's about Tsarist Russia. He's good in it. This guy, Adam Godley.
Yeah, he's one of those guys too, and I think other people have mentioned it's so good for Succession. Like they get these, I don't want to call them B-level actors, but they're like good character actors that pop up in a lot of places, and they don't like steal the scene just by being in it, like Adrian Brody or even Skarsgård to some point. Like you kind of like, oh wow, he's in this. Fisher Stevens, probably one of them. Like just guys that are popular and you recognize them for a lot of things, but they just add so much to the show in such like a little period of time.
Two things. Sorry.
Go.
One of the funniest scenes I've seen in a bit. I was LOLing on my couch, man. That was so fucking funny.
Yeah.
Just so great. Like the most powerful people in the world are so stupid.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Really, like I'm like, what's Greg doing with this wasabi thing? And all of a sudden, Darwin gets it in his eyes, and then I know it's not in the same scene, but speaking of LaCroix and drinks, Benny, as a resident bartender, a man with a plan, and Ryan, gee, I'm so sorry, I can't both you. As a resident in cocktails, Tom Cruise and the other guy in cocktails. What's your take on Mattson stirring his drink with his index finger?
I think if you're home alone and you're making a drink from yourself, fair play. If you start doing that for, even if you do it for your wife, you're teetering a little bit. But if you're by yourself making a drink, no ice though.
I was about to say
that was the more egregious thing. What do you think, Ryan?
Why would you stir a drink with no ice?
Well, to mix up the alcohol, I could see it.
Yeah, right.
You don't need to, but
no,
warm club soda and warm vodka. I'm shivering right now just thinking about it.
Yeah. So, any thoughts on the Darwin experience before we move on?
Did you guys think? Maybe I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but with Darwin in general, because we don't have to maybe mention him later. Do you think that he was upset about? Who did I have this argument with? Somebody, Mencken or the just the unethical way they went about it.
I think it was the ethics thing. I think because he was constantly trying to, in the beginning, throw up like guardrails, and you see just how quickly when they're the power players in the room, if what they say goes. So as much as he wants to kind of do the right thing, they're not letting him.
Right.
And he could have at any point probably just quit and went and told his story, like, which you would expect someone to do in that position. But it goes to show you, I mean, even what we've been seeing in this country with Fox News and all that kind of stuff about how once the power players start saying things are going to happen, it's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if he or other people, like I think I mentioned it just before, like there's gonna be fallout from this, and we maybe we'll see what happens or we won't. I mean, you mentioned Fox News, they just paid $750 million for a lawsuit, and I don't think anything's gonna happen.
Yeah. So Ravenhead goes full Tucker Carlson on the the points that Roman sends to him. And then we get to the decision that ATN is going to call Wisconsin for Mencken. They say they're going to caveat it and say that the call is pending, but we don't see any of that. And after that happens, Mencken wants to continue to ride his wave. So he gives in to Connor, and Connor concedes. Saddest moment of the show, personally, in all 4 episodes, 4 seasons. We find out Connor's running mate screwed him. And America,
2 of them.
You flunked it. But beware and get ready because the con heads are coming. Ryan, I'm sure now you've witnessed a bunch of elections in your life. Is this the best or the worst concession speech you've ever seen?
It's the most entertaining. I'll say that. Yeah, I mean, just I get what Mencken was trying to do. I just think it's just kind of ridiculous. Like, is he really gonna give him that much of a bump by conceding? Like, I guess it's just kind of like part of the narrative. Like, it helps the train chug along a little bit. But yeah, it was definitely the saddest concession speech I've ever seen.
Hey, he's a billionaire. Sorry.
Yeah, I guess crying into his $100 bills. Which I don't get. Why does he want to be a fucking ambassador just to like go do something? Like, go fucking spend your money.
It's just one of the rich people. They need to be doing something.
Well, you don't want to have lunch in Venice and a little breakfast in Drubnik.
Robbie, what did you think about the concession speech?
Well, as con head number 2 on the show, it broke my heart into a million pieces. I remember crying as a young 5-year-old when Michael Dukakis lost against George Bush. I picked Dukakis in our kindergarten pool. It was devastating till this day, I remember. So I guess his concession speech is up there with maybe John McCain, maybe Hillary Clinton, and Walter Mondale. Shout out Mondale, how you doing? But I mean, Connor's the best. He's really inching towards MVP of the season. The lines, I mean, the soliloquies he was dropping this week, and then just another one of my favorite lines of all time on this show that really fucking just made me laugh out loud is when Frank said Connor was running for president.
We also get that line from Hugo too when Jimenez is giving a speech. And he's like, all right, pull your dick out or something. Pop out a nut.
That's the room that I would like to have been in.
Yeah,
the room with like God. Frank,
old
Hugo,
heads.
All them.
Aya, what do you think about the Connor concession?
Sad day for America. But just remember, con heads are coming.
Oh, yeah.
Con heads are coming.
They definitely
are. So we see that there are going to be, we see that ATN has the numbers to call Arizona for Mencken, which causes Kendall to pause because they're boxed in now because they've already called Wisconsin, and this is going to give Mencken the election. Ken and Roman have an argument about chicken and steak. And then Ken breaks off to talk to Shiv Ken tells Shiv, he's completely honest with her, probably the most honest any of the siblings have been to each other in the whole show. And he says that he thinks probably part of the reasons he's pulling back from Mencken a little bit is he's threatened of the relationship that Roman and Mencken have. And Shiv tells Ken that he's a good guy. And then we mentioned that line before when Ken's talking about being a bad father, he says that maybe the poison drips through. And he finishes with Shiv asking to call Nate, and she fakes it. So before we get into the fallout of that, what did you think of the situation between Roman and Kendall, and then Kendall and Shiv?
So, like as I said earlier, I really think that the calling of Wisconsin and subsequently getting boxed in to call Arizona and call the election is going to have a fallout. It's going to challenge the legitimacy of ATN, which if you challenge the legitimacy of ATN, it kind of fucks their company. And I don't think that's why I say I think Roman is very short-sighted and shallow in his thinking, because that's something that you could have pulled back. You know what I mean? But the talk between Roman and Shiv, the talk between Ken and Shiv, I think was so important, because this was when I say that, like, sometimes Kendall doesn't know if he's a good guy or the best guy, because like there's moments of him that he wants to be the good guy. The fact that he felt secure enough to be vulnerable to Shiv to say that, hi, I have thoughts about like cutting you all off and taking this all in, that took a lot of vulnerability and trust in Shiv to do that. I don't think that was a play at that moment. I honestly thought that was like Kendall feeling out if at the end of all of this, Shiv will have his back, and we'll see later on that, but that was so interesting, and it made the next scene a little more heartbreaking if you think about it.
No. Ryan, what'd you think?
Yeah, no, I agree with Aya. Like, it definitely makes, what we've seen, I think it's the next interaction with Shiv and Kendall is like a little bit tougher, because it's like he opens up a little bit. She tells him he's a good guy, and then he finds out that she's been fucking him behind, their backs and everything. Yeah, I don't really have anything more to add to that.
Robbie, what do you think about these two conversations?
Well, Benny, first off, as a resident guy who comes a lot, can you let me know, on the average, how many con heads do you think are coming?
Well, I'm thinking maybe 4, 5, 6% of the population
of Arkansas.
Alaska.
I'm talking about the population of the U.S.
Oh.
I mean, by the time 2028 rolls around, I think it's going to be a con revolution.
Oh, forget about it. It's gonna be a congasm. What I like about this show sometimes is they don't do it a lot, but when they do, divulge in their upbringing, you could see like how these people, turned out, right? Like Roman still fuming about not getting steak because Kendall always wanted chicken, and then Kendall's like, well, we didn't want you to always get your way the entire time, and then like be the spoiled brat. So the upbringing stuff I love, because it shows you like who each character is and how they got to who they are as a person and their thought process. I did love the scene with Shiv and Kendall. I don't know if I think Shiv meant it, but I also think she was trying to play both sides of it, and just trying to get her way with the whole Jimenez and winning the election and trying to get that deal with Gojo through. So I do think she had an ulterior motive with it. I do believe that she does care about Kendall. But I mean, Shivy baby, just call fucking Nate.
Yeah, right? Come on.
Just say,
well, she
how
didn't
easy
want
is that?
to.
No, but just say, hey, listen, if anything happens, if Kendall calls, if potentially calls about a Gojo deal, just say you're thinking about it, or just lie. When she did the whole this number you've reached is not in service. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, Shivy,
He
baby.
needs to do that.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, you just stay fucking up, Shiv. I mean, you think you're such a power player, and all of them are just a bunch of idiots. And you saw it throughout this entire episode. Yeah. So did I didn't think that it was going to come back to bite her in the ass, but that's just me being a stupid idiot, and I should know better. But it set up one of the most, no, I'm not trying to be dramatic, but a very intense scene in that boardroom.
Yeah.
Do you
I
think?
kind of
Oh, go ahead.
go ahead, Ryan.
Sorry. I was
I
just
was
gonna
gonna
say,
say-
like, she tries to scheme all the time
Right.
and has never once succeeded at any fucking schemes. It just constantly blows up in her face. And I think so her ultimate, even though she's trying to act like she's doing certain things for, we'll talk about this in a minute, but like democracy, blah, blah, blah. She wants Jimenez to win, but then also for them to not block because she wants Matson to take over.
Right.
And I think she was getting played by Matson and, wasn't, I don't know. She thinks she's this fucking chess master and she can't even win at checkers.
Yeah, when I was thinking about this episode, I wanted to just call the episode "Stupid Chess" because like they keep boxing each other in with their fuck ups,
Yeah.
and like their pieces are getting moved around the board, but it's not out of a smart move here, a smart move there. Like they just keep forcing each other to
There's
have
no
to make
strategy.
these dumbass moves,
Yeah.
and we see where it leads in this next scene. I was gonna say, I actually forget what I was gonna say, but let's move on. So Shiv says that there might be something there with Jimenez. So this is what I was going to say. Shiv wants so badly to be the power player that you're saying. She lets that, almost like Roman and Kendall, she lets that big move blind them from actually thinking about the problem. And I think that that's what we've been seeing this whole episode and this whole season. Like they have that moment of the three of them realizing that what they can do together is probably really good, but they keep getting blinded by their own stupidity. So Kendall wants something more firm, and he decides to call Nate. And then he finds out Shiv's lied about calling. Greg dimes out Shiv and gives the smirk of the cinch as he walks away. And then Kendall freaks out and commits to Mencken, and ATN calls it for Mencken. So what did you guys think about this whole fight scene, Robbie? Or Aya, you want to go?
Can
first?
I just
Yeah,
first say
go.
those few seconds of no dialogue, Kendall's face, Greg's face, Shiv's face, one of the best acting in television history. It was so good. It was so powerful. It was so palpable. And you felt so uncomfortable seeing it and watching it. No dialogue whatsoever. It's so good.
Shiv just knew she was caught. She was just like, oh,
Yeah.
fuck.
And she's trying to keep that conversation with Roman going, but she's like clearly not there at all.
Yeah, just paying attention to them.
Robbie, what'd you think?
Yeah, I mean, like I said before, we've all been there, right? We've all been caught in a lie and knew it was coming and knew we fucked up. And I was just like, oh man, it was like I said, it was just no words and brilliantly acted and brilliantly shot. And like when Kendall just looks over his shoulder back into the room and Shiv just is like, oi boy. And it was great. And it just, I love those scenes. And like when I don't even know if you want to call it secondhand embarrassment when you get so nervous for somebody.
Yep.
And you're like, oh man, I feel so bad for this person, even though she's an idiot. But it was great. And then fucking Greg, man, what a herb. He annoys the shit out of me, but he's just always weaseling his way in and out of everything. And he just always, I don't want to say coming on top, but there's no consequences for any of his actions. He just fucking does it.
They always get forgotten about, it feels like.
And I mean, I get it. Shiv just probably for 4 seasons has just shitted on him. So I understand where he's coming from, but this guy just stays winning and coming out on top for the things he does.
Yeah, but she told him she was gonna rip his organs out or something stupid. Like, I don't understand. Like, why make threats like that when you know that you can't follow through with them?
I think, but I think Greg sees this as the kill shot.
Yeah.
And if he pulls this off, like there's going to be nothing that Shiv can do at that point. And it goes back to the line that Tom tells him in the beginning of the episode, like store that information and then hit them in the face with it. And you're led to think that something like that can, you wait months, years until it's finally time to pull out that information. But you could save it and it only has to be for a couple hours. So instead of actioning on it right away, even just waiting a couple hours paid off for Greg in that moment.
Yeah.
That's true.
And I think too, Robbie, you said that you didn't think it was going to blow up in Shiv's face that quickly, but we know that Kendall is like so desperate. And as soon as she came in there saying that it was like on the fence with Jimenez, I was like, he's going to call. He's
Yeah, I
going to
didn't even
call
know.
and try to get it like confirmed. And I'm like, and she's fucked. And she's fucked. And, just that whole, again, we talk about the acting between Shiv and Kendall, just the way that he like goes after her in that scene when she calls her like a piece of dirt. Yeah. And like, it was so good. I thought it was such a great scene.
It was fantastic.
I agree. I loved seeing it. I love when people get caught. When people, I mean, I don't, I hate Kendall too, but seeing Shiv get caught with her stupid schemes was very satisfying to me.
Yeah.
And I look forward for Roman and Kendall getting caught with their stupidity.
Ryan, as our resident snitch,
yeah.
what do you rate Greg's snitchness scale in that scene?
I'd say it's a 9 out of 10 wasabis. Great
Nice.
snitch. It not only killed Shiv, but probably propelled Greg into an even bigger role with Ken. Or maybe, I mean, see, I'd love to see how this plays out because Greg might be in with Mattson now and Ken. So like, but what's his goal? Is it just get power like the rest of them, but like, or what? Or like prove something to his grandfather that like he can make something of himself and he doesn't need his money or something? I don't know. I don't know if he's smart enough to know what his motivation is, but I also kind of sneaky think he might. And he, like I said, this is like the first theory I had was that Greg maybe is not as stupid as we think or as he portrays. But then he does things that I'm like, yeah, he's that stupid. So I really don't know.
Yeah, I just think he, Tom, all these lessons that Tom taught him, he takes to heart. And I mean, and you see that episode after Logan dies where Tom pretty much tries to latch on to everybody and anyone that he can because he doesn't know where he stands. And I think that that's where Greg's at. Like he's just going to kiss ass to everybody that could potentially be somebody. And the second he sees an opportunity to knock somebody out or to benefit himself, he's going to take it because he was all about the quad squad at one point. And, cozying up to all three of them.
But he said, I think in an episode or two ago, he said Team Kenro.
Yeah, that was, he was about the
I don't
quad
think he was
squad
cutting out Shiv. He was just because they're the CEOs. But I mean, that all changed when Shiv threatened him. Because like he said something to Tom and it wasn't like accusatory. It was just like, hey, you know about this? And of course, Tom's like, not only are you talking about, which I mean, shout out to Tom for still, like we said last week, like still not diming out your wife, even though she told you you're a piece of shit the night before.
Yeah.
So I don't know if Shiv attacking him was the catalyst or if he just saw an opportunity or like overheard Ken talking to Nate. I don't know.
Yeah. Robbie, any thoughts?
I don't know. I don't really know. I don't know. I'm just so confused sometimes with Greg. I'm also confused. I don't know how the show's going to end. So I'm kind of pissed off about that. I thought I had a good inkling of it, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like my ending theory is blown up now. 100%.
Mhm.
It's like I feel like there's not going to be, if it's true what they say and it's just 10 days or whatnot, it's not, you're not going to get any, resolution on the election. You're not going to get any resolution on that. So what could really happen unless they time jump a couple of weeks ahead or a couple of months ahead in episode 10? Who knows? But yeah, I don't know. Greg, you suck.
So as we mentioned, ATN calls it for Mencken. Mencken goes full evil in his victory speech. And I have a question, Ryan, for you. If you have to say I'm not a demagogue in your speech, are you a demagogue?
I'd say that when you say most things that I'm not X, that probably means that you're X,
Yeah.
demagogue or other.
I just thought that speech was like so fucking creepy. Like
Yeah.
the way he act, obviously props to the actor, but he just made it seem like, oh fuck, like this is not going anywhere good. I guess this is as good a time to bring it up as any because it's the end of the episode, but I truly think that, as much as everybody wants to spin it as he won the election, by no means do I think it's anywhere close to being over. And I think that Tom's, I guess, second in command, I don't know who that woman was. I think it was the first time we saw her in this episode, mentions that, all this stuff is going to get litigated out. And, I could see to Aya's point where it's ultimately what could help start bringing down ATN. You guys have any thoughts?
I agree with that. Go ahead,
I
Aya.
think why I got like really why I love this episode so much towards the end of it was like that ending with them calling Mencken and how it all played out and everyone's reaction to it. It felt like a lived through experience because of how 2018
2016
2016 played out. It felt like, I don't know if you guys seen Get Me Roger Stone, but it's that documentary on Netflix. I was watching this episode unfold and I had the exact same feelings as watching it. I was sick to my stomach watching it. It's hard to wrap your head around that this is what's happening, and it's disgusting. And it had that same somber feeling that when, because that's so vivid to me, after the day after the election, I went, you're in New York City, I go into the office and it's like a fucking funeral procession. There's like a sadness in the air. No one's talking, you know what I mean? Like it's and that's what it felt like when they called Mencken. And that's why it like hit, like maybe a lot of people were exaggerated about it. It was like, oh, PTSD or whatever, but like it kind of felt like a lived through experience.
Yeah, when we see that, they draw so much from real life, and I'm sure that was a heavy influence. But yeah, I don't know.
And it was like as you can see, like Roman doesn't care like the ramifications that it's going to cause. Obviously, people of color with this election and calling this election, like he says to Kendall, Dad's dead, nothing matters. So he doesn't give a shit. All he cares about is getting that deal, that Gojo deal, fucking ruined. And he's like, we got whatever we said about like access to the West Wing and things like that. So yeah, I mean, it's crazy like watching it unfold because this is exactly what it's like in real life and how it plays out. And like we said with the Pun America Decides, it's like, yeah, but do we? I mean, you saw that shit in 2020 with Trump calling Rupert Murdoch to basically like not call Arizona for Biden, and then like even in his psychotic speech at like 1:00 in the morning, like thinking that he won and shit, and stop the count. I mean, it's just insane, and then people go along with it. But that's why I love this show, because it's like it just draws parallels from actual real life experiences.
Can I also say why I kind of like this particular episode, why I loved it so much? It's because like, so this whole show is like tagged as a tragedy, right? Like you're watching all these people self-destruct and within themselves like fight and destroy each other, which is basically what a tragedy is. But usually when you like think about a tragedy, like in the Shakespearean sense, in which is like the show is often parallel to like King Lear or stuff. You think about King Lear and Macbeth and all these other classic tragedies. It's always like self-contained, and it's always very within. It's like you're watching, for example, a royal family crumble and just like destroy themselves from within. But this episode, and that's what we've been watching throughout Succession, it's just this family destroying each other. But this episode is the first episode that you really see all this mess has real world consequences in this world, and that it's so much bigger than them, and all this nonsense is going to destroy people. It's going to destroy a country, and that like is what really like, okay, this show is like higher stakes. It created this drama into like a higher stake situation, which is amazing, or is amazing writing for me.
Yeah, I think that's what we were saying before too. We're like, we saw these three idiots for 4 seasons, and yeah, they were doing dumb stuff, but it wasn't really, Logan was always there to like put the cap on it. And, even if they did mess up a situation, it wasn't something that was going to affect anybody but the family or the company. But now, as soon as Logan dies, they're put in this position that affects the whole entire company, and they couldn't be less equipped to handle it.
Yeah, that's true. I totally agree with that.
And they're falling apart. So, like we said, they're stronger together. Whoever's left, if it's Roman and Kendall, or just Roman or just Kendall, like, and I think Aya has said it a few times, like, there's going to be fallout from this. They even said at the very end of the episode, they were calling out Tom specifically on like other news stations. So, like, my guess is the people who is like Tom's going to get crucified. If it
Darwin,
leaks, possibly Darwin, and if it leaks Roman, I wouldn't be shocked if it does leak. And Greg could easily conveniently tell someone that, oh, Tom was doing fucking coke like in the office before he was on the floor, and Roman was feeding lines to Ravenhead, and like, all these things could easily leak and make ATN weak. And then who the fuck knows? Maybe they will, and one of them will end up CEO of like just a crumbling company.
I think though it's to me what stood out at the end of the episode was the whole episode. Tom was like, I make the call. I make the call. This is my call. This is my call. And then when it came down to them actually making the call, and when Kendall says it's Mencken, and Tom very much like points out like, all right, this is your call. Like,
fucking Pontius Pilate.
Yeah. Like, this is your call then. Like, I think he's going to try to have some deniability in the whole thing. I think that's why he's not so bothered when he sees all those headlines. Like, he calls it out, but I think he thinks he has an ace up his sleeve when, it comes time to answer for what happened that night.
Yeah, he very easily could do that. Pontius Pilate.
So the last thing we see is Ken in the car going home or going to see his kids. We don't really know, but the last thing he says, his kids. Yeah, he says he wants to, but
yeah, one of them
probably know his kids. Maybe he's talking about the 2 bags of cocaine he has at the house. He says some people can't cut a deal. Who do you guys think that he was talking about, Ryan?
I thought that too. Like, when he said that, I was like, who the fuck is he talking about?
We had to rewind that because like we didn't know what he was saying. It was apparently the driver's name.
Yeah. Talking to the driver. But go ahead, Ryan.
I don't know. To be honest, I don't know. I guess he could be talking about Shiv because she was trying to cut deals and it just fell apart. And she also, didn't try to make the deal with Nate. He could be talking about himself. He could be talking about Roman. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think he's talking about Mencken.
Why?
I think he thinks that when it comes time to play ball, I think Mencken is going to fuck with them.
I think you're right. I thought that too. Like Mencken said, like, you'll have access and this and that, but I think in the end he's gonna be like fucking Trump, where he's like makes deals, but then just does what he wants anyway.
Yeah, and not it like, and I don't even think it's going to be in the sense, maybe not so much that he fucks them like personally, but he sees how, I guess, I don't want to throw the word fascist around, so easily yet, because we haven't seen the guy do anything, but he
Right.
sees his tendencies. And, at the end of the day, it's a lot of the stuff we saw with Trump was he could have gotten more stuff done if he knew how to cut deals with people. And
Right.
he had people that were willing to oppose him. And, at the end of the day, no matter what Trump wanted to do, he was able to do some things, but to the biggest things that he needed to make deals for, he couldn't do it.
Right.
And if that's who Roman and Kendall are depending on, he might not be able to come through for them.
Yeah. Yeah. Like if he's exactly like him, then yeah, it sucks he's in the White House, but like not much of consequence, I should say, will maybe come to pass. But um if he's somewhat capable of doing anything. And the other thing is they're calling him fascist and stuff like that, but that word gets thrown around a lot. I'm not saying that some people aren't fascist, but like just because someone's right wing doesn't mean necessarily that they're a fascist. Like, I don't think we know any of Mencken's policies, really, do we? Like, do we get into anything he really says? Like, yeah, his speech was unhinged, but it didn't like say that I'm a fascist. I don't
Yeah, I
know.
mean, he didn't
Maybe I'm
say
missing
exactly.
something.
He didn't say exactly what he was going to do. I think I mean, that they're using it in the context where they've seen this whole election play out. Like, we don't necessarily know. Obviously, they didn't spend time on it, but you see him talking about like all the people getting welfare and kind of
Yeah,
alluding to
that's true.
you see those criticisms of Jewish people, like the kind of he's talking about making deals, backroom deals and stuff like that. And he's not that kind of person. So I feel like they kind of allude to it. Like I said, though, obviously we don't know for sure what he would do. We don't think it's going to be anything good, but we just
Right.
don't know how bad it could be.
Yeah,
Didn't they
right.
lay the groundwork for him in that episode where they were like choosing the next president?
Yeah.
That's why Shiv was so afraid of
Yeah.
him, because he spouted a bunch of like white supremacist shit and neo-Nazi shit.
Yeah.
Was he? I mean, I don't remember. I'm just thinking Shiv might be an unreliable narrator or unreliable source of information. She might say he's a piece of shit and doesn't like him, that he's bad for the country, but like I'm not saying he isn't. He might be, but I don't know.
No, I think I kind of want to rewatch it, but I'm pretty sure like it
Do
came
they?
from him. Yeah.
Okay.
Like that scene
Yeah, I
in
mean,
Roman talking about it.
yeah, that's probably. I just may not be remembering.
Yeah.
Robbie, who do you think can't cut a deal?
I
As
don't
a
know.
resident deal maker.
As the Wheeler and deal, the backroom deals again, like I said, and going great. Shout out Alexander Hamilton. Um, I don't know. I really don't. I don't know if it's Mencken. I don't know if it's Jimenez. I don't know if it's Chivy Baby. I'm not sure. I didn't even know what the hell he said, but it was basically he was just saying to his driver. I guess he called his driver by his name at the end when he said people can't just cut deals, and I forgot the guy's name. Um, yeah, I'm not sure. I don't have an answer for that. I could take a guess, and I would say Shiv maybe or Jimenez because Jimenez didn't want to cut the deal, and basically Ken could have swayed that, by not calling Wisconsin for Mencken. So maybe that's who he's talking about because
Yeah.
I think he would have went with Jimenez if Jimenez kind of was willing to kill that Gojo deal.
Any thoughts?
About the deal. Oh, but like before we move on though, I kind of want to like point out like it's how nice of a touch it was, that little scene between Greg and Jess. Before like Greg, like what does he call it? Like pushes the button and he has like that little moment with Jess. Which by the way, I'm very team Jess. Like I love Jess. The way that she is able to pull out shit from thin air for Kendall. Been there since day one.
Oh, yeah.
First episode. Like I love that girl. But it's just like a nice touch, I thought, wherein like everything that was happening on this episode was just like right here on top. And there it's so intense and everything's just happening here and here and here. And then you just have that like little sober moment between like, okay, we're calling an election. It's just that little, let's take a beat. Thought that was really nice.
Another one
And
with the fantastic facial expressions that doesn't say much, but you can read her face, and it could freaking kill a room.
so, any final thoughts on the episode, guys?
Call me, baby.
I'm still around the same. I love discuss. I would discuss watching paint dry with you guys and probably have a good time. So I loved discussing it more than I loved watching it. I really feel like I'm having an existential crisis about this because I value all three of you. I value your opinion and the fact that you guys loved it, and I'm just like, yeah, it was okay. Like, what does that say about me? I don't know.
I think it's you hate these people so much that you can't
I
like.
think that's
you know what I mean.
But I should like the commentary on people that are pieces of shit and the like the black humor, and I don't know. But still, I recognize that it's a good show. You know, it's just not like, you know, 8s and 9s all the time for me, but whatever.
I'm going to need you to create a PowerPoint presentation on what
Okay.
you found on your self-reflections on the series wrap-up episode.
All right, I'll do that. One final thought I had, and now I lost it because I was talking about existentialism. Oh, yeah, you said it quick before, Benny. I think all of our theories are kind of blown up after this episode. Like, I don't know what's going to happen in the next two.
Feels like,
but I kind of like it.
Yeah, for sure. We talked about them sticking the landing in the beginning. You know, when we first started talking about Logan dying.
Right.
What do you kind of think about that at this point, Ryan?
Like, if they're gonna stick the landing or not?
If they're gonna stick the landing, is it like changing your thoughts on the whole?
I don't know, because I feel like I have a feeling that this is gonna end, whether the ending is good or bad. There's gonna be a lot left on the table that people are gonna be like, what about this? What about this? Unless they do some, I think Robbie mentioned it before, like maybe they'll do some kind of time jump a couple weeks or something. But I don't know. These people are smarter than me. I'm sure they'll figure something out, and we'll just decide if we like it or not. I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? Like, do you think they're like, is it heading towards a good landing, or is the you know, long jumper like flailing in the air right now?
I think that because we're left with a lot of questions going into the last two episodes, I think they're doing their job. Like,
Right.
Just give me something good that's not like out of left field and ridiculous. And I'm pretty happy with how we got there. What about you, Robbie?
I am torn. I don't know what's gonna happen. I just think they're just gonna be a couple scumbags ruining the world. I would like a nice time jump because I don't know how they can land it in 2 days, or what would be like. They're just gonna forget about the Gojo deal. You're gonna be in limbo for the series to end. I don't know.
Like, so the next episode's got to be the funeral, so that's a whole episode, and then
I don't think it's going to be
10?
the whole episode, though. I think it's going to be like
The beginning.
20 minutes tops
Right.
of
So,
the episode.
but even still, if it's a
the
day and a half,
the Roman speech.
They're going to wrap up the deal in a day and a half.
Well, we know that the last episode's an hour and a half, and I'm sure that this next one is going to be probably over an hour. So we'll see. We'll see.
I mean, they certainly can. It'll just be like, is the ending going to be satisfying for fans or not?
Well, we see too, like, you know, to the Gojo deal, Shiv, you know, it kind of as her last resort, they're going to just come out with the Matson numbers the India stuff, and that could fuck the deal pretty quickly.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
mean, the fastest way to wrap up this deal, and I don't mean make the deal happen, but is to just make it go away. And then it's almost like we're back to just Waystar. And then we'll see what happens with the 3 kids or something, I guess. I don't know.
final thoughts, anybody? Or should we get on to playing America's top 2 favorite games?
One
Can't
last
wait.
thought I just had was, I'm sorry if I just cut you off, Robbie.
Please.
You used to it. You used to it. I was gonna say I almost in a masochistic way, or not a masochistic way, but like a kid burning ants way. I almost hope they fuck up the ending because I would enjoy people flipping out about it.
You're rooting for a bad ending.
Like just because like I don't love the show like you guys. I think it would be funny to watch like the internet blow up about the ending. Like it would be like how people on the outside of Game of Thrones saw all the fans flipping out about how that ended. I wonder what that'll be. It might be interesting to be on the outside looking in.
Yeah.
Sorry, what were you gonna say, Robbie?
No, I was just basically can't wait to see what happens.
Oh yeah, agree. So should we play the fastest growing 2 games in America?
Let's do it.
What should we start with? Yeah, I'll let you choose. Should we start with the serious person of the week or the shit show at the Fuck Factory?
I think there's more interesting shit show of the factory this week, so let's start off with a serious person, right?
I love it. And would you like to go first or last?
I think I can go last.
Ooh.
Yeah, because I'm not prepared.
Oh,
I forgot
all
to
right,
prepare
fair.
for this part.
So then who goes first?
So I went first last week. I think
Does
it might
Rob-
be you.
Does Robbie or me go first?
I think it might be me.
I think it is.
Maybe by the time the show ends, we'll write these things down.
No, I
All
why
right.
do that now?
Nah, fuck it. So the first game we're gonna play is the Logan Roy Memorial Serious Person of the Week award, and this award goes to the person we think won this week or the best character this week. So Robbie, would you please like to regale us with your choice?
Yeah, the Logan Roy Shit Show Memorial Fun Person of the Week. Did I get it right?
Close.
I don't like picking I don't like picking people back to back. I know I picked what's his name last week. I don't want to reveal so I'm not going to pick
Pick 'em.
him.
Do
I
it.
can't. I don't want to pick him. So
Okay,
I'm
fine.
gonna go with cousin Greg.
Damn you, motherfucker.
Cousin Greg, been a numb nuts for 3 1/4 seasons right now. But this is the first time that he kind of was an actual serious person. I mean, he partied with Matson all night long, danced with an old man he didn't want to dance with, a couple of bumps of cocaine, like a good boy. And then like he didn't want to be Greg's, whipping boy. And he kind of got intimidated by Shiv, but didn't back down, was able to kind of bury Shiv with the information that he knew from hanging with Matson, and kind of ended Shiv. And then he was the person that actually went down into the newsroom and delivered the news that they were going to call the race for Mencken. So, I mean, like I said earlier in the episode, Greg, he never faces the consequences of just being a slimy, sleazy fuck. He's always intertwining with everybody in the show, and people don't think he's serious. People are making fun of him, but who would have thought that our little boy, who said, "If it's to be what it is what it is," on the Congress floor, called a national election for a major news network. So shout out to Greg. He's my Logan Roy Memorial Serious Person of the Week.
Joke's on you, Gil.
That's right. So then should I go, I guess?
Yeah.
All right. So my Logan Roy Serious Person of the Week award is going to go to Jess because I think and they don't explicitly say that she's the leaker, but I say heavily implied that she is the leaker from what Greg told her, because she pulls out her phone like immediately after he told her that. But I would not be shocked if it comes out that she's been leaking stuff for a while now, and I hope maybe she's getting a little scratch or got some other deal in the works with, who knows, some politician, some other news network, PGN, something. Who knows? But I love it. Good job, Jess. You win the week, and you were only on screen for like 40 seconds.
My Logan Roy Memorial Serious Person of the week this week is Willa.
Oh,
Nice.
Willa. I mean, we know Connor had his down moment, but Willa has always been a supportive partner through this whole process. And, you know, she's going to have her lunches in Vienna, her dinners in Venice, and breakfast in Dubrovnik. So I think she's doing big things, a big come up for our girl Willa. And she's my Logan Roy Memorial Fun Factory of the week, shit factory, helicopter riding, jet flying, limousine riding, kiss stealing, wheeling, dealing, son of a gun of the week.
woo!
I almost died. I think I'm choking with that. Oh man, it's great.
I used to love when he would do that and just like pause and like be so dramatic with each line.
Yeah.
Limousine, riding,
He's the best.
wheeling, dealing, and then get faster and faster. What a showman. I'm sorry. When you mentioned Ric Flair around gentlemen of this age, you can't like not get into it.
Exactly.
Want to go?
So my Logan Memorial Serious Person at the Fun Factory Shit Show Award goes to I think Willa's better half, Connor.
Nice.
Oh, good
Because
choice.
I think right? Like I think who else with that much, like, you're such an irrelevant candidate, and yet you had a starring role on election night
That's
with
true.
that with a powerful concession speech. So he stay winning, and like, you know, as Billy Joel says, Connor, Vienna waits for you.
I love it. Love it. Great job.
So good choices, everybody. Loved it. So let's talk about our shit show at the Fuck Factory of the week. The person or persons who fucked up and lost this week. So this is a snake draft, Aya. So you're going first.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
I think what's the name again?
Shit show at the Fuck Factory.
Shit show at the Fuck Factory this week is I think it's gonna be ATN. I think ATN is losing.
Corporations aren't people,
yep.
so that counts.
Corporations
we'll
are
take
people. Yep. I think ATN just blew any chance of legitimacy that they had. And you know, they're gonna get sued to kazoo. I don't know, like it seems like it's gonna be a bad couple of months for them. So I think they're a shit show from the Fun Factory this week.
My shit show at the Fuck Factory is one thing for two different reasons, and that is the United States of America.
Oh, you
boy.
killed, you son of a bitch! You stole mine.
Because not only do they have Jared make it as president, but they flunked it.
They flunked
That's
it.
right.
They flunked it,
flunked
and
it.
they did not choose the correct candidate to win. And I'm not talking about Jimenez. I'm talking about our boy, our baby boy,
Oh,
our
baby.
sweet 62-year-old baby boy, Connor. So America, you blew it, and you got your just desserts because of it.
Can we just continually get more abstract with our choices? Like my shit show at the
Universe.
Fuck Factory is the Electoral College. No, my shit show at the Fuck Factory is, I'm gonna go with Shiv because she got found out. Greg dimed her out. she's in big trouble. And I don't know, if it was maybe anyone else, I'd be scared of what she was saying. And like her face when she came out of the building was like, I don't know, I'm gonna fuck them all and whatever,
Yeah.
like, but all her schemes fail. So who knows what she's gonna actually get up to. And I didn't really think about it, but like, what could she possibly say? I mean, I guess she could spin a number of things. She could talk about how Kendall killed the man, because she does know that. I don't know, but she definitely lost this week. Uh, Everyone in her life basically is no one's on her side. I don't even who the fuck did she even call when she was making that call?
Matson.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah. And I do you all right, let me ask you guys a quick question. Do you think that Matson is even on her side, like in her corner? Like I think he played her. He didn't know she asked him for a position last week or 2 weeks ago, and he was just like, yeah, we'll see.
I think she's gonna send him talking points, and he's gonna go, nah, you know what? I don't want to do it. I want to keep it a secret. And
Okay.
that's gonna be the fracture in their relationship.
Fair. Yeah, we'll see. Robbie.
Well, I was gonna go democracy, but
The voting process.
Benny took that, and I could easily go with Roman, but we already labeled how much of a shitbag Roman is and was this episode. But my shit show at the fuck factory this week is ATN technology.
Touchscreens.
Oh, the
Touchscreens. I mean, the biggest night of the year, and you need your touchscreens to be full go. And
They had three.
they had three, and
They
two
had
went down.
three.
Do you
Yeah.
know the anxiety? If I was Tom Wobb's game,
Oh my god, as an IT person, that oof.
Yeah,
blow
okay,
my
there you
balls
go.
off.
As a resident IT guy, what would happen to your balls if you were down two touchscreens out of three?
That would have been, there's 2 points I want to make. I would have been shitting my britches and having a freak out. And then the fact that they think that the reason it was breaking was because he was touching it too hard. And if you, as the IT person, if you had to explain that to somebody in that moment, they would be like, it would not compute. And they'd be like, what the fuck do you mean? So it was just a disaster situation. I think that was the moment I was on my seat the most this whole episode.
That tickled your IT sensibilities.
Your IT pickle. And Ani Mensch for LaCroix for taking a beating this morning as well on the internet. Especially Lemon. Goodness gracious. Lemon is not having a comeback season.
Nah. I bet you their sales jump for LaCroix Lemon. I bet.
Oh, for sure.
It's like Burberry's freaking pocketbook went through the roof.
Probably. Real quick, I know we did all this stuff already, but really quick, because I was talking with our good friend Catherine Ann about this earlier today. Do you think this was completely out of character for Roman? His act, like you just reminded me, Robbie, of how was just such a piece of shit. Or do you think this was like in line with the rest of I think someone kind of alluded to it earlier.
Yeah, set up a softball scene, a baseball
That's right.
scene.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is just in line with who he's always been. I mean, you get glimpses and grabs, whatever, drips and drabs of you thinking him being a nice guy, especially.
Yeah, because he makes jokes. Yeah, we did talk about that a bit. And Ayu was saying, just fuck now. I forgot what Ayu was saying.
It's a softball.
No, softball.
The dick pics.
The dick pics.
The rocket ship blowing up.
Pushing Kendall. Rocket ship.
And him not caring. I only care because somebody might have lost a couple of thumbs.
That's right.
him just being a complete piece of shit to Kendall at Kendall's party. Like,
yeah.
So
I mean, I feel like we've gotten so many instances of Roman being a piece of shit, but like this episode was 100% from concentrate.
Yeah.
Like Roman being an asshole.
Yeah.
Oh, and what Aya brought up was that his decision making, his logic was shallow and like seemed rushed. So maybe that's why he was being such an asshole, was because he wanted to push this through So yeah, I don't know.
He just wanted to be the big dog. Like
Big dog.
that's what's funny. Like all these three siblings, like Roman is always like all his movements is driven by him being the big dog. And then Shiv and Kendall are always driven by spite. Like
Right.
The whole shtick of Shiv turning her back on his brothers is because she thinks that she's being boxed out, so she's being spiteful. And then Kendall calling Mencken is him being spiteful to Shiv because he saw that he got double crossed. And it's like it's so insane how like all these big fucking decisions are just like not even through not even through sound reason and logic. It's just through fucked up behavior and fucked up like emotions.
Stupid assholes.
Hmm?
Get a fucking therapist.
For real.
Yeah, Kendall has a great grief guide.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay. Yeah.
So is there anything else? I had a few things popped in my head, but we would keep going forever. So is there anything else anyone else wants to bring up, or else I'll keep going?
Send us emails, Michelle.
Please.
Rip this man.
Oh my
new
gosh.
one.
I'm gonna get a nice text tomorrow on her way to work saying,
Tell her to save the text, put it in email, put it in writing.
Or
I
yeah,
don't
just even like
understand why I
screenshot it.
can't
Just
like
screenshot
things.
it.
a voice note. Yeah. No,
I
if
just
I
like that she gave you a hard time.
if I screenshot the text message she sends about Ryan, me and Ryan would no longer have a podcast.
But you're going to be taking it on the chin for Succession, but just wait until we get to movies. I'm going to get sucker punched left and right by who's ever listened to this podcast.
Oh,
Rob.
can I say this is like one of my favorite anecdotes about like so in terms of like future episodes, I think I've pitched that two ideas to Benny and Robbie for future things.
Yeah.
One is like possibly doing like a side by side of like twin movies.
Okay.
You know how like choosing
twins
one
with
over
Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger.
no, like you know how like their movies are like exactly the same, like Deep
Yes.
Impact and Armageddon, or
Right.
what's that movie like there were two like presidents in White House, like Olympus Has Fallen and White House Down or
And
something.
Dave.
Yeah.
Oh,
Paul
Dave's the
Blart,
best.
like Paul Blart Mall Cop, and that Seth Rogen joint where he's also a mall cop. Like that's a nice little like compare and contrast.
Yeah.
Deep
The other
Impact and
one.
Dante's Peak.
Yeah.
Volcano.
Volcano and
Volcano.
Dante's Peak.
Oh,
Yeah.
Volcano, yeah.
But like another one, because you guys talked about it, like I think a Tarantino draft would be pretty awesome to do. Like,
That'd be
and it'll
hard.
make
my God.
Benny watch all the Tarantino movies, because let me tell you, when we first started dating, and he told me that his favorite movie was Inglourious Bastards, I thought, as a sensible, reasonable, average person, that meant this man was sort of versed in movies, because who has seen Inglourious Bastards and not seen, I don't know, Jurassic Park or Back to the Future or like that's a reasonable assumption to think. And then I got roped into this marriage. No,
Fool got suckered.
I got
I'll tell you what he saw. He saw fucking Cock to the Future. That's what he saw.
Fooling him since 86, baby.
Nah, that's fine. Listen, I don't mind Michelle breaking my balls, but come on. I can dislike things. I'm sure she likes things that I think are stupid.
Exactly.
No, she likes Harry Potter. You guys are on the same page.
That's true. We are Harry Potter bros, or bro and sis. Yeah.
We should have her on for a Harry Potter draft, and I'll be fucking snoozing by 10 minutes in.
Robbie, you're a real piece of shit.
I love it.
All right, maybe we should wrap it up there.
Yeah.
So thank you for listening. Thank you, Aya, for joining.
Thank you for having me. It's so much fun.
Fantastic perspectives as always.
Yes, as always, love the different perspective. Love the woman perspective. So much appreciated. Definitely come back. Maybe when we do the Tarantino or something, or the wrap up. Yeah, always welcome. Always welcome. I mean, just come on. Benny doesn't even need to ask us.
Oh, also, I think another suggestion after this would be cool. Everyone out there listening, if you have a movie that you think Robbie and Benny hasn't seen, make them watch it and then
Yep.
jump on the show and then discuss it with them.
Yeah.
So like you could feature different people with a movie on hand, and then 4 people can start talking about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
please.
don't make it.
Yeah.
Go
I'm
ahead,
sorry.
Rob. Go
I'm
ahead.
please suggest movies. I'm running out of fucking airport planes taking off on YouTube. So please tell me.
I've seen every sand trap video on golf on YouTube.
Yeah, how many times can I worry about my wedges from 50 yards in?
Yeah, we'll do a lot of that cool stuff and fun stuff. Hopefully you guys like it. But thank you for listening. We'll see you next week. And Robbie, why don't you tell them good night?
Good night, Kentucky. You fucked it up for all of us.
It's not that lemony. It's a hint of lemon.